So yesterday we started the Inganegwane Zungu. Okay, why? Because I cannot even believe it that the Zungu 1, Zungu 2, and Zungu 3 involved in the Senzo Meyiwa Inganegwane. Zungu 1 being Constable Zungu, who went over there to the Sutu hostel to his nephew, his brother's son, Gwabini Zungu, and along with another Zungu gent. I think his name, I can't remember his name right now, but there's a third Zungu involved. There are 3 Zungus that were there on the day that Zungu constable alleges that the 5 accused showed up. One accused number 3 was carrying the 9mm, and Muzi Sibiya, okay, was carrying the 38mm special revolver and Dondoni, and his gun was where his police issued firearm was confiscated by his nephew Gwabini, okay. Like, it is a whole Nganegwane. I introduced this yesterday that, hey, while we wait for everybody to return, let's go back to the original Galagutus, okay, and find out how the hell this case is still running. But every sentence that Zungu says, it's Nganegwane for me. It is a shock. I still want to know, why is he still a South African Services employee? Why is he still working there? Because he allegedly broke many laws. Okay, I don't know what the laws are. Patricia Mashali can go ahead and break those down for us. All I know is there is no way, okay? Somebody left a comment and I loved this comment. It says, wait a minute. How many hours does Zungu actually work at work? Because he said, what? Gwabini called him at 7 a.m. Okay. He got to work at 8. By 2 o'clock, he was at Carlton Center. By 2 o'clock, he was at Carlton Center having lunch with the other Zungu. And then they made their way to the Sutu hostel. Oh, hello. How many hours does this man work? But you know what? We're starting part 2 here. We are continuing on. We left off when the 5 accused walk in and the lights suddenly go off in the hostel. And Zungu is like, what is going on? And he asked his nephew, why do you have a 38mm special? I thought you lost it. And he says, no, that is not the one. Constable Zungu doesn't call back up for help because there's a lot of unlicensed firearms here. No. He proceeds being the uncle of note. Let's continue listening on because there is obviously more that Zungu reveals in his witness testimony, Nganegwane and Dun.
Yes, you may proceed.
Umafika wabesephuma ngoba ngathi wangizokuthetha wabesephuma ndola phambi kwami waphuma.
Mafika then went out because okay, because he heard me shouting at Gwabini, and then he came out, he walked out in front of me. And Mafika is again accused?
Accused number 2.
And why were you shouting?
What were you imbangela ukuthi uthethise uGwabini? Ngiyathethela ibha because angazi ukuthi shooting ngaphambili wabangitshela ukuthi yazi. Okay,
it was because they were in possession of a firearm, and I was asking him, why is it that at the hostel you are carrying firearms or you are having firearms? He then responded to me by saying, Uncle, I also told you to place your firearm here because I didn't want all of you to be in possession of firearms.
Ngabe sengimkhola kodwa ngangibona ukuthi ukusho lokho ngoba enza lokho ngoba lezi kwabe seyithatha lezi ibhamu futhi kubani ethi yathatha lezi ibhamu.
I believed him, but I also thought that he was just saying this because he was doing this, and then that's when he said, bring this fire or give these firearms here.
Ngaqhubeka ngathetha angithethisa yena.
I carried on and shouting at him.
Kwathi kusenjalo kwabe ngizwa umnyango usuvuleka ngemuva.
Still at that, and then the door opening behind me. Accused number 5 came in. If I remember well, he was wearing a black jacket. He then asked Gwabini, what is it? Is there a problem?
kwathi akunankinga kwabe secela mina athi baba omncane wayingene ngapha no accused number 4.
Okay. Then Kwabin said there's no issues, and then he requested me and said, Uncle. But when he came in, he was in the company of accused number 4.
Just a minute.
Wabe semcela ukwani
Just a minute. You mentioned that Kisfire was wearing a black jacket. We just want to show you photo on page 17 again of Exhibit S. Can you just use that photo to illustrate your evidence?
What
What is that you're pointing?
accused number 5.
So the son,
Yes.
Emva kokubuza lokho
Wearing what?
ugqoke
ugqoke ijacket emnyama.
he's wearing a black jacket.
Emva kwalokho kwabina bese ngicela esithi baba omncane ngicela ukukhuluma nalezi insizwa zihamba zemakhaya.
Then Kwabin requested me and said, Uncle, may I please speak to these gentlemen? They are leaving, they are going home.
Ngabe singenza njalo sengiphuma.
I did exactly that, and I went out.
Ngathi mangiphuma umafika ungabona umafika emile lapha ekhoneni.
As I went out, I saw Mafika standing there at the corner.
Yes, which accused?
Accused number 2.
Accused number 2.
Ngabe sengimnotice ukuthi wayeseshintsha ijacket esigqoke egrey from emnyama.
A grey. I then noticed that he had changed jackets, that he was now wearing a grey jacket from a black.
Wabe sengibheka naye ngaphansi kwale jacket ukuthi ngiyambona yini ukuthi wabe eseza ngaphakathi ezongena naye phakathi rooming le.
He then looked at me from underneath the jacket as to whether could I see him. He then went past and went into the very same room where the others were.
Just a minute.
So while Baloyi writes down his notes of this Nganekwane told by Uzungu, okay, I am just perplexed, okay, because it is absolutely shocking at the amount of detail that this constable has. He has so much detail. It is just incredible how he points his finger at the 5 accused, but he skips over the part where his own nephew Gwabini should actually have been arrested on that day. He should have called for backup. I am sticking to my word on that. But you know, this is South Africa. Things that you and I think are normal behavior is not exactly what happens over there at the South African police services. Okay, it doesn't matter how many times they change the minister, as long as they don't change what is within the South African police services, it is just going to keep continuing and continuing on. Where have you heard of a constable partying and drinking with them gulugutus, okay? Unless he's on their payroll. Unless he is on their payroll, unless there is something out of it. I mean, we heard in my video yesterday, he was very excited with the meat and the alcohol. Was he getting any other additional benefits? We don't know. Okay, this is all alleged based on his testimony. But he says you know what? And he covers that element because whoever wrote his script knew that this was going to be a questionable piece, but he covers that element. He says he yelled at his nephew. Yelled? That is what you did? You yelled at him so passionately that accused number 5 and number 4 came into the room and asked, is there a problem happening in here? And Gwabini says, no, there's no problem. I'm just talking to my uncle. But uncle, you have to leave the room so I can speak privately with, these Nkabis, because the Nkabis are about to go home. Uncle agrees. He goes from the yelling uncle to the compassionate uncle who leaves the room as he is told, listen, his nephew is the Kapadia, okay? His nephew is the Ngondo. His nephew is the one who can tell a constable to just leave the room. I need to talk to my Nkabis. And then the Nkabis walk in, and then when he walks out, he sees Bongani Ntanzi, and oh my God, he's changed his jacket. But Bongani Ntanzi walks past him and into the room as well because, he is part of the Nkabis.com. Zungu is outside the room and does not call for help or reinforcement, even though he knows the Nkabis are about to leave. The Nkabis that he saw have firearms. Why? Because his nephew is inside, Pagati, within. So he can't do anything but yell at his nephew. This, of course, I've said it and I'll repeat again, is disgusting demonstration behavior. But then again, it's Nganegwane, you know when you're telling a story. The other thing I want to highlight is how he is able to remember things. Like, his memory is immaculate, and we're not used to this. This feels like we are spoiled. It feels like we are spoiled with all the detail that he is giving out, because Mangena doesn't recall, Grobler doesn't recall, Serewo can't remember nothing, and definitely not Captain I can't recall, Captain Dini. I mean, we are spoiled for choices here. He's giving all the details. You see Baloyi writing and writing and writing. But you know what? Let's continue on, because you already know Constable Zungu has more to tell us.
Now, you noticed that accused was wearing a grey jacket from the black one. Can you just describe the black jacket that he had?
We are sure.
Initially.
Uyasho ukuthi wayeseqoke egrey kule emnyama usechintshile manje ufaka egrey kule emnyama bika usungayichaza ke le describe the grey or the black one?
The black one.
The black.
Ngoba kangena endlini balandela ngangemboni ukuthi ufake black.
Because when I was following them as they entered the house, I saw that he was wearing a black jacket.
Yes, but what type of jacket?
Kanjani uhlobo?
Hoodie. Nescope.
It's a hoodie. Nescope. Because even at the time when he went out in front of me.
And sorry. Mr. Jonas, let's interpret that very assertion by the witness.
The last one.
Yeah, the way I'm not being fastidious.
Right.
The way you interpreting it. You're saying a hoodie as if there are two items. Just clarify from the witness. The way I understood it makes it one item, but clarify it. The jacket and the hoodie.
Oh, okay.
The jacket or and the hoodie.
No.
Okay, no, it's a hoodie.
So it's a jacket and a hoodie.
You jacket in a hoodie.
It's a I
would say it's a jersey, my daughter, that is not being opened there in the front, but it is a hoodie.
Meaning go is part of the jacket.
Yes, my daughter.
Okay, thanks. Sorry about that.
Then I'm noticing.
Yes, and the grey one?
The grey one looks exactly like that.
Yes, just describe it.
How it has. It's also a jacket, jersey-like jacket with a hood. Witness demonstrating.
Why it changing my poom? Because my poom
when I looked at him, it then made me to notice as to why is it that he had changed. Because when he walked out, I saw that he had a black one.
Yes, you may proceed.
Yeah.
Emva kwalokho wabe sebuyela ngaphakathi ngiyakhumbula ukuthi ngamkhulumisa ngoba phambana nami yedwa ngaphandle.
After that, he went back in, and I remember that I spoke to him because we crossed paths, because he's the only one that was outside.
Yes, can you remember what you spoke to him about?
Usakhumbula ukuthi wamkhulumisa wathini?
Mangizakala ngithi nathi uye magazi unawo lama jacket ungiphe yona. Nathi unayo ngicela ungiphe yona.
Okay, I said to what Magazi?
Yeah.
I said to Magazi, can you give? Yeah?
Unawo ungiphe yona.
Oh, you do have them. Please give me one of these jackets.
Wabe sehleka wangena ngaphakathi.
He then left and went inside.
Just a minute. If you say you do have them, what do you mean?
Uma uthi unawo bo kusho ukuthini?
Angitshengisa ukuthi mhlambe ngoba ngibonile ufake enye waphinda futhi washintsha wafaka enye.
It was an indication or to indicate that because I saw that he was wearing another one, a different one. Now he had changed and was wearing another one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Emva kwalokho ngabe sengihlala ngaphandle ngaphakathi main room.
Then
busy
Then after I sat in the main room, they were busy in the bedroom.
Which main room?
Main room. The hall.
because nganginabanye abafowethu.
Because I was with my other brothers.
Yes, may I proceed?
Correct.
Khumbula babengicela uxolo ngabashiye. Babecele uxolo ukuthi ngiphume ngibashiye ngaphakathi.
Ubani abacela uxolo?
Ukwabili.
Kwabini. Okay. I remember that they apologized that I had left them, or I had went out and left them inside.
Bengabe sengihlala kwathi ngakaphela isikhathi singakanani. Weza ukwabini wangitshela ukuthi ucela mase ngihambe no-accused number 1.
I then said, and then Kwabini came out and requested me that when I'll be leaving, he was requesting me to leave together with accused number 1.
Ngabe sengibuza ukuthi ukuphi uMakhosonke engangadinize naye.
I then inquired, where is Makosonke, the one that I came with?
Ukwabini wathi samfonela kunjalo.
Whilst Kwabini was phoning him,
Waqhamba uMuzi ngicela ephuma ngaphakathi endlini.
Muzi appeared. I think he was also coming from inside the house.
Yes, accused number?
Muzi accused number 1.
Muzi is accused number 1.
Babe sengitshela ukuthi ngingamshiyi.
He then informed me not to leave him.
Ngabe sengitshela ukuthi okay umtshelile ukwabini kodwa samele uMakhosonke.
I then informed him that Kwabini told me, but we are still waiting for Makosonke.
Akatholakala uMakhosonke. Ngabe sefona ukwabini futhi uMakhosonke.
Makosonke wasn't found, and Kwabini told Makosonke.
Then uMakhosonke emva kwemizuzu emingaki wafika ngikhumbula wafika ngasiy'kodwa wafika late ngoba wamtshela ukwabini ukuthi akasahambi uMakhosonke.
After some minutes, I can't remember the specific as to how long, but after some minutes, Makosonke arrived, and Kwabini informed me that Makosonke is no longer living.
Wangitshela lokho ngoba kade khona ngaye ngefoni ukuthi akasahambi.
He told me that because he had spoken to him telephonically, that Makosonke was not living, wasn't living anymore.
Sathi sisahleli samile ngaphakathi la uMuzi wabe ese khipha isikipa ngicabanga ukuthi isigqokile kwalo espofu washola esandleni.
Okay. Whilst we were still standing inside there, Muzi then took out a t-shirt that he was wearing, folded it with Sassin Janumba. Okay, if I remember well, it was red, and rolled it in his hand.
Just a minute, and that's accused number?
1.
Accused number 1.
Wabe sebuza la ngoba wadonsa ngikhumbula kahle khona idonsa yobuma.
If I remember well, there is just something to stand on that he pulled.
And wephethe elinye ibhodlela esandla.
And in his hand, he was carrying a bottle.
Wabe sebuza ukuthi niyazi nokuthi senzwile yini ngendlela ibika ngabeka. Senzwile yini ukuthi uMeyiwa kasekho.
And then he put it like this. Have you heard? Now, this you, my lord, is in plural. Have you heard that the Meyiwa is no more?
Just a minute. And who's saying that?
Ushoban,
Accused number 1.
accused number 1.
Wabe sekuthi ngwasasibaningi ngaphakathi. Abanye bathi hawu. Yabona.
Because there were many of us inside. Others explained or remarked by saying, how?
Mina ngase ngimphikisa ngabe sengikhipha ifoni.
I then disputed what he said, and I took out my phone,
Ngabheka ku social media.
I looked on social media.
Just a minute. Yes.
Yep.
Ngabe sengiphikisa lokho ukuthi hayi isosimo ayikho right.
I then disputed that and said, no, your source, once again in plural, your source is not correct.
Listen, I have listened to this at least 3 times, this clip, just so I can understand where Zungu is going with the story. The amount of detail, I think that his goal is the more information I give out, the more confusing this will be and the more convincing this story is actually going to be. Because he talks about, I was going to leave, and then Kwabini said, don't leave, wait for Muzi Sibiya. And then he says, but how can I go with Muzi Sibiya when, I came with Makosonke? Where is Makosonke? And then Kwabini phones Makosonke because nobody knows where he is. How does nobody know where Makosonke is? Remember, they've been going together to the bottle store, they've been together drinking, and now they're together in the room doing all the firearm things. Zungu is outside, and then suddenly people are wearing hoodies, and then he knows the hoodie very well because he was walking back. Like, do you understand the precision in his detail? Like, why is he still a constable? Because he's got such a great memory. Why has his position never been elevated? His rank, rather. Why has his ranking never been elevated? But you know what? Asikolapo, I digress. Let's get back to the story he's trying to convince us with. And then he says, okay. So I agreed to go with Umuzi. And Muzi himself also comes out and says, don't leave without me. Why is this even relevant to the story, might I ask? But you know what? Let's continue on. He then says, all of a sudden, Muzi Sibiya stands on the podium. Okay, he pulls up something and he stands on it and is holding a beer bottle and a red t-shirt. Why is he holding a t-shirt? Do you see that the story has got too much information? He's holding the t-shirt and then he says, have you guys heard that Senzo Meyiwa is no more? And of course, Mr. Constable Senzo Zungu says, no, that's not possible. And he pulls out his phone, goes on social media to verify this breaking news that Muzi Sibiya brings. But my question is, let's go with the theory of the state that the 5 accused are part of the intruders that went to the Spaza house. Help me understand why Muzi Sibiya is the one making this announcement. Why would they want to be associated in any way with what just happened? But as you continue to watch the clips, continue as well to watch accused number 5. His reactions are a classic. And are definitely a build-up to what will happen later on, and we'll talk about that as soon as the monster presents itself. But let's continue listening on to this announcement given by Muzi Sibiya. But, Zungu says, no, not at all. Not our national goalkeeper. Not Senzo Meyiwa. You are wrong. Your source is wrong.
I didn't put much emphasis on that because I was just under the impression, or I told myself that they were just discussing or having a discussion. After that, it was busy because others were leaving, others were coming in. I remember that I went outside, still waiting for Makosonke. When I got outside, I smoked. It was just busy. Others were leaving, others were coming in. And after some time, as I was going to the vehicle, the car keys were not with me. I went back inside to Kwabini. I asked Kwabini, where are the car keys?
Just a minute. Yes.
Then Kwabini said, how, Uncle Babomnani? And then he took out a phone. I think he was calling, but I don't know who he was calling. I wouldn't say as to who was there, who wasn't there. The others were already out. He kept on calling and said that they are not answering their phones.
Then what I do phakathi ezokhuluma nomunye accused number 4.
He then came in and spoke to someone. I think that person was related to accused number 4.
Wabe semtshela ukuthi mangikhumbula amazwi asho ukuthi umzala ngabantu 4. Accused number 5.
He then said that Mzala is not answering his phone. I think he was referring to accused number 5.
Emva kwalokho kwabe sebakhuluma ukuthi lo ekhuluma naye lokho wabe sebefona.
Then that person that Kwabini was speaking to then made a phone call, and then they answered their phone, or the one that person was calling then answered the phone.
Then
he then said, Uncle wants to leave, where is the key?
Then
thereafter told me to wait a bit, and we were busy because we were also waiting for Makosonke, who I said I wanted to see because I came with him. He also called and said that he was on his way.
Just a minute.
wathatha isikhathi ukuthi kufike shuthi kufike uMakhosonke.
It took time for Makosonke to arrive.
Akusisikhathi eside kangako kodwa nje isikhathi nyana.
Not that much long of a time, but it was some time.
Mangikhumbula wabe sekufika u-accused number 4 wabe sekufika enginikeza ukhiye wemoto.
If I remember, accused number 4 arrived, and on his arrival, he gave me the car keys.
Yes. Did he say where he got them from?
Ingaba wakutshela yini ukuthi wayithola kuphi ikhiye zemoto?
Ngendlela mhlawumbe kwakuthi kwangenasidingo ukuthi ngibuze ngoba kangade vele kuthetha ngangokuthi awukho. So wathi mayinginikeza ukhiye wabe sebonga.
Okay. The manner in which I was I could see it because I was talking, and I could see that it wasn't there. And when he gave it back to me, he also conveyed his gratefulness. Yebo.
Yebo. Waze njengesaba ukuthi enganothisa ukuthi uyasabatha kuye ngoba wabe seshaya izandla zombili.
Uyathini?
Ukuthi uyasabatha nayiqeda ukunikeza ukhiye ebonga.
Ufuna uqiniseke isiqiniseko sokusabatha. Uthini ukuthi uyasabatha?
So indlela ayikhuluma ngayo etshengisa ukuhlonipha la.
Okay. In the manner in which he said it, my Lord, it showed that he was being respectful because he made use of both his hands, putting his hands like this.
Ngabe sengathi ukhiye
Well, I definitely learned something new in this clip. Zungu is a storyteller. He gives the most unnecessary details. I mean, by the end of this clip, we find out that accused number 4, okay, he's a very respectful man. He's so respectful. When he hands Zungu his car keys, I don't even know, he claps his hands together. I don't even know how to explain this. These are the small little minute details that Zungu brings to Judge Rata's courtroom. The bravery, okay, the liver, because what in the Mzansi Unfiltered is this garbage? He has a specific story to tie in each of the 5 accused to being at the hostel. According to Zungu, he knows all 5 accused, okay? His memory is excellent. Muzi Sibiya is his homeboy, okay? He knows him very, very well. And he also needed to leave together with Umuzi, okay? So ties Muzi in 100% into the scene, according to Zungu's story. Then the second part is Ubongani Ntanzi changed his sweater, okay? He changed his hoodie from black to gray. So guess what? Bongani Ntanzi was there. Then who accused number 3? In this clip, he doesn't talk much about him, but in clip 1, he does say, in episode 1, he does say he's the one who was carrying the 9mm. Okay. Accused number 4, I just spoke to you about it. He's the respectful Ngabi, okay? He's going to still be respectful to a constable, a whole constable. And accused number 5, laughing and giggling over there because he cannot believe this Nganegwane because, hey, he is the main character inside Pagadi the Nganegwane. Accused number 5 was there in a black hoodie as well, okay? And not only was he there, he was the one who came when him and Gwabini were arguing about the firearms. This is definitely a developing story. Make sure you go ahead and click like, subscribe, and obviously consider sharing this with 3 people that you chatted with on WhatsApp because I say wow, okay? Now we'll go ahead. So go ahead, those are the house rules, and thank you so much for watching all the ads. We have reached the end of the month. Thank you for all your support, guys. So I'm going to end it here. You know the house rules, you know everything to do. And if you've made it this far in the video, go ahead and drop me a soccer ball, okay? Justice for Senzo Meyiwa, so I know you made it till the end. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you in my next upload.